Rebecca and Ryan, it's always great to see you too. I have a two-part question. You can each answer if you want. You've been around the league now, a bunch of different venues. Can you feel the buzz that the W has besides just Caitlin and Angel, and then specifically for the game? How big is it to have the two biggest names in the rookie class playing each other for the first time?
You want to go first, partner?
Sure. We've only done Indiana games so far. So the buzz we felt in every arena we've been in has been incredible. But yeah, for certain. I mean, this is something we've been talking about the last couple of years, how the excitement is building and how the play on the court is living up to it all. And it just feels like this year is when it's finally been pushed past that. And even if it's games that were not in the arena, people are energized and watching, whether it's on Ion or NBA TV or Prime, wherever people are watching that's not, ESPN. There's just a lot of chatter, a lot of people talking about the league, a lot of people watching the league. I think we've already seen Ron, five different networks in the WNBA season who've had their highest rated game ever. We've got ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, I believe Ion and NBA TV have all seen their highest rated game in the history of the WNBA. So we feel it, we see it, and especially because we've been at so many of these Caitlin games, you definitely feel that energy, even though a number of them have been on the road.
And that is correct on the fact. Yes, I'm sorry. That is correct. Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. No, Doug, I definitely can feel it. I think you can feel it even just watching games throughout the league and seeing the atmosphere in the arena. I know even just talking to some friends who've been at different venues, they've just been totally gripped by the electricity, whether it's, seeing Chicago, the way they've played thus far, Minnesota, the start they've gotten off to, and then obviously, some of the likely suspects with Vegas and Connecticut and New York. And I do think it's league wide. I also think there's an added level of attention and focus on the start of the season and each game and the results and following the standings that I can feel. I can even feel it just within my friends where I'm getting interest and attention about things going on in the league from them that maybe I wouldn't have gotten until it was playoff time, or they'll just tell me they're watching, oh yeah, I was watching this game on ESPN, I was watching this game on NBA TV that, I quite frankly, they just wouldn't have been telling me in May in years past, which speaks to the growth, right? All of us and so many people on this call have been a part of this for a long time now and have felt the growth. And there have been steadily inclining metrics for years now that has had us all hopeful and excited about where the league is going. The fire was burning, and Caitlin and this rookie class was the accelerant. Right. And poof, and it's exactly what we all want to see. And that's why I think, this matchup Saturday, it's wonderful. I'm so glad that our programming department worked to get it on our air. I'm so glad that the league obliged, because I think it's so important to have, Angel and Camilla in their first game against Caitlin. Indiana, Chicago, I think could be a rivalry for years to come because of what we saw with Iowa and LSU, and just because of the incredible following that these rookies have and that we saw them take with them from the college game to the pros. And I think about the rivalry thing a lot because it's something that Kathy always talks about being one of the ways that the league continues to grow, right, is to have some rivalries, to form them. It's part of what we've also hoped would come from the Commissioner's Cup, right? So I think that this game, not only is it a showcase of these rookies and getting to play each other for the first time, but maybe it's the start of a rivalry that builds then for years.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Doug. We'll turn next to Megan. Excuse me, Megan. Go ahead, Megan.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Rebecca. This question is actually for both of you. I know we hear a lot about the Caitlin Clark effect, but can you talk to me about the Angel Reese effect and maybe even Cameron Brink effect? I feel like we're getting into that territory as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the entire rookie class, has just been super exciting, and Angel and Cameron obviously came to the league already with huge followings, and I think what's been great. I mean, Angel has like 2.6 million followers on Instagram. There's incredible interest. You look at all of the crossover appeal too, just throughout different aspects of culture, whether you're talking about a Vogue or, different style magazines, whatever it might be. obviously these women, they really attract in all different corners of our world, which I think is great, and it just brings in more people to the product. And then what I think is so significant is they're delivering on the floor. Like when you watch the way Angel has played thus far, she has been excellent out of the gates as a rookie. And I think that, you know, one of the things that Rebecca and I certainly talked about amongst each other and then on air throughout this tournament run for LSU was Angel's motor, and just feeling like, you know what, like that motor is going to translate. And we have seen it has translated big time on the floor for Angel and for Chicago. And Teaspoon is just doing such a terrific job for the Sky. And then with Cameron, she obviously had the pro-ready skill set. And I think it's so encouraging to see that already translating, whether it's the way she hit threes in her performance, you know, a few games ago with scoring 20 plus points, or the block shots. She just has looked like, yeah, she's obviously going to be an impactful pro and be able to adapt to, you know, the 4-out or 5-out pro style game with the way she's shooting the three. So I just think the returns on and off the floor for Angel and Cameron have been terrific. And, you know, and there's a reason why those arenas are filled, why, you know, Chicago road games, they're having to find bigger venues as well to accommodate the following for Angel Reese. And so, yeah, both those women deserve a ton of credit.
And I think the rookie class, all those who made rosters, have shown that they belong. Like when you watch Cameron Brink on the court, yes, she looks like a starter in the WNBA. And if she can stay out of foul trouble, her numbers will even prove that more. It's been the case for Angel. It's been the case for Caitlin. But even a player like Kate Martin, she has been able to contribute to what Vegas is doing, to come in and assimilate herself into a championship team and just do little things that are helping them succeed. Rakia Jackson has been terrific for LA as well. I'm really eager to see Camila Cardoso, and it might take her a little bit of time, of course, because she's coming off of injury, but I think she's going to have that similar kind of an impact where you watch and say, she belongs in this league. She's being impactful as a rookie, and you see a long-term career for her as well. So for me, this rookie class, you know, outside of even just Caitlin and Angel, has certainly delivered so far early in this season.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Meg. I'm going to turn to Courtney. Courtney, go ahead.
Hello, this is for Rebecca and Ryan. This question's about the unrivaled league that is headed by Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. Talk a little bit about that and the impact that's going to have with women's basketball.
I'm eager to learn more about it, and I'm interested too if are they playing the FIBA 3x3 rules? Because if they are, that is such an incredibly fun brand of basketball to watch. The games are quick, they're high paced, they're high scoring, or you know, scoring happening in bunches. But anytime there's an additional opportunity for players to stay in the U.S. and make money while they're here, it's a good thing. And we've seen it with the AU experience the last couple of years for those athletes. And I think it was the Unrivaled is 30 players able to participate. So that's 30 more who can either play partially overseas and then come back, or, you know, stay here and play. But again, if it's the 3x3 FIBA rules, and I don't know how many of you guys have been watching that at the Olympic level or at any of the international tournaments, it is ridiculously fun basketball to watch. And I think people, you know, who haven't watched it before will recognize, you know, just how much fun it is to be a part of that.
All right, Courtney, follow up or good?
All good. Thank you.
All right, thanks. We'll turn next to Brad. Brad, go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Good.
Marina Mabry and Elizabeth Williams have been on a roll for the Sky lately. Can you speak to how their game has been, and also how all the excitement with Camilla coming back, how she is going to fit into the team?
It's been fun for me to watch the Chicago games. They're playing at a high pace. They're obviously taking on Spoon's identity in terms of their ferocity on the defensive end of the floor. Marina has been terrific. Elizabeth has been really, really good. And, you know, we've grown accustomed to her being the shot blocker and sort of the undersized rim protector throughout the course of her career. But she's getting scoring opportunities through that as well. Those two have looked really good with one another. I'm excited to see Camilla as an addition to this team because one of the things is Chicago's not a particularly big team. They've got some length. Elizabeth Williams is long, but they don't have a player bigger than 6'3" on their roster outside of Camilla. And so how that will change things for them, whether it's defensively in their scheming or how, they run some of their actions on the offensive end will be interesting to see. And again, with Camilla and Ryan and I saw this firsthand throughout the course of the last month of the season, her willingness and ability to sprint end to end and put pressure on the defense is something that, again, it might take her a little bit to get her legs back after coming back from the shoulder injury and just getting that kind of game shape. But when we see that version of Camilla going up and down the floor, she's going to fit in beautifully, I think, with the Chicago team.
All right. Brad, follow up or good?
I'm good, so thank you.
All right, we'll go to Tara. Tara, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you guys for doing this. Rebecca, I would love just a perspective question, if you don't mind. This so much excitement for this game, and being in this position where you're doing a conference call talking about a single game. I just came off covering the PWHL, which is in its infancy first year. Just like, what do you think about, like, when you see where you are now with working with the WNBA and having been there at the beginning, like, kind of just even where another league, is it exciting for you to see another one start like that? What do you think could be that story in 25 years or whatever, when you think about what the WNBA has done?
It's always exciting when you see more opportunities for female athletes at every level. I've told the story a lot of times of when I signed up to play rec basketball in 4th grade, and I was the only girl in my town, and so they had to let me play on the boys' team. And then when all of my daughters have been growing up, they're, within a town of similar size, there's multiple teams for girls at the 4th grade level. Like all around, you're seeing more opportunities for girls and now for women. And it's taken a little bit on the professional side, but it's always exciting to see because, what does professional women's hockey look like? I don't know because we haven't really seen it before. So now we're going to get an opportunity to see what that looks like. How wonderful and exciting has it been to watch professional women's soccer over the course of the last bunch of years? So it's vitally important. And when it happened for the WNBA back in 1997, there had been multiple failed attempts or leagues that had only been able to last a couple of years. And I think one of the beauties of the WNBA is they kind of showed the model of how this can be successful. The longest running professional league for women ever. And so it's been the model. There's been ups and downs. There's been mistakes. There's been high points. And I think any other league that is starting can certainly learn from the blueprint that the WNBA has set over the course of the last 28 years.
Does it feel like that long for you, or sometimes feel like yesterday? Like, what is the Rebecca who was, that rookie with the Liberty kind of compared to now and where the game has come in all those years?
Yeah, it has gone really fast. Like, you ask anybody my age how time flies, and it flies. It's amazing that the league has been around that long, and I take a ton of pride and satisfaction in where it is now, and the explosion that's happening with the current crop of players because I know what it was like at the beginning when it wasn't necessarily that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. We'll go next to Jordan. Jordan, you're up.
Hello. So my question is for Rebecca. So you played alongside Coach Teaspoon back with the New York Liberty when the league first came to be. So I guess just talk about the job she's done with the Chicago Sky thus far, from your perspective.
It's funny, Ryan and I were talking on the phone before we came on this call, and I was just saying, one of the things I enjoy watching a lot when I'm watching the Chicago Sky this year is watching Spoon on the sideline. Her team will force a turnover and she'll start like doing the stomping on the sideline that she used to do as a player during practice or games. I told this story in the draft, but Teresa Weatherspoon in 1997 was the Defensive Player of the Year. And like the first practice of 1998, she gets down in a stance, hits the floor, and is like all up in the grill of another point guard saying, DPY, baby. maybe DPY for Defensive Player of the Year. Like, she has always had so much passion. She's always been this incredibly strong, insightful voice in the locker room in the 5 years that I played with her. And you just kind of see her team taking on her identity. She has players who I feel like have a similar personality and fuel and fire. Marina Mabrey would be a perfect example of that. And, you know, Spoon, when she was a player, was about defense, about getting her teammates involved, taking care of the basketball. And then her offense was sort of the last thing. And you kind of see her you know, placing the importance on those things with her team as well, valuing people who will defend, valuing sharing the basketball, valuing getting others involved. Like, I totally see her team's fire and identity when I watch Chicago play, but I should pitch that through our producer. We should have a Spoon cam during the game, because she is certainly an energized presence on the sideline.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next to Chico. Chico, go ahead.
Hey, Rebecca and Ryan. This question is for either one of you. Obviously, you guys have done a lot of Fever games so far, and for Caitlin, an issue earlier on has been the turnovers. I'm just curious, how much of that do you think is kind of her teammates getting used to playing with Caitlin, and more of an up-tempo brand of basketball that's, you know, similar to what they did in Iowa?
I mean, I think that it's a combination of things, right? You know, some of it is the freedom that she likes to play with in transition and the chances she likes to take. And she even talked about it last night when she was reviewing her 7 turnovers, where she was like, she felt like she had 2 bad ones. Some of the ones in transition, she was like, I'm going to take those chances. And some of that is an adjustment for her in learning the speed, the length of the defenders here at the W level. And some of that is an adjustment for her teammates in learning, you know, to have their head on a swivel all the time with Caitlin, to be ready to run with her all the time. And then some of that is also roster construction, right? Like, where, you know, maybe this isn't the perfect incarnation of the Indiana Fever to be able to accentuate all of Caitlin's abilities, right? And some of her passing in transition. And that will continue to evolve and grow throughout her career as well. Plus, just her getting used to the physicality of the professional game, her getting stronger herself. All of that, I think, will reduce the turnovers over time. She's not going to average 7.5 a game for her career, but I also not sure she's going to average 2, because she is a daredevil out there when it comes to some of those, you know, passes in transition, which can yield buckets and incredible highlights, or sometimes, you know, you can get burned with a turnover. So I expect her at some point to be a player who averages more like 3.5, 4 turnovers a game as she settles in.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. We'll turn to Daniel.
Yeah, how you doing? This is Daniel Artest from the 9450. This question is for both Rebecca and Ryan. With the new influx of players, I mean, coming into this WNBA, we got a new influx of fans. A lot of them are really not knowledgeable about the W and how it operates. How do you two adjust your commentary to ensure that both long-term fans and new viewers can follow the game while also maintaining that objective perspective?
You know, I think Rebecca actually did. So I love that question, first of all. So thank you, Daniel. Rebecca actually did something to address this specific audience in one of our games earlier this season, where she broke down just how many fouls you get in the pros, knowing that there was a lot of people migrating from the college game who are used to 5, and in the pros you get 6, you know. And there's a phrase that Tim Corrigan uses, who's our senior coordinating producer for the NBA, who has been involved in the WNBA for years, that Sarah Gaiero, who oversees us with the WNBA, uses as well, that I love. That's be kind to the accidental viewer. And the reality is, when you have an expanded audience, usually we use that phrase about, say, the playoffs, where all of a sudden you're going to have people that aren't there the whole year. And so you're going to retell some of the stories for people who may not know some stories that somebody who's in it day in, day out does, but you're going to be kind to them, right? Well, it's the same kind of thing. This isn't the accidental viewer, but this is the new viewer. And we want to be kind to them. when it comes to explaining some of the rules of the WNBA, and then also some of the storylines as well. And I do think there's a way to do it that's not insulting to the current audience, or that isn't, it doesn't bog down the current audience who's been there, but also serves the new audience. What do you think, Rebecca?
No, I agree with you 100% on all those things. First of all, my feeling is welcome. Welcome to all the new viewers of the WNBA. Whatever level of knowledge you have, we are thrilled that you are watching. But I know the first game of the year when Ryan and I did Indiana at Connecticut, we were talking about this during commercial breaks. Said, oh, she's picked up a couple of fouls. Let's remind the viewers, or tell the viewers for the first time, that you get 6 fouls. Let's explain, and this is even for current WNBA fans, the challenge rule. You don't have a challenge in college, and this year you have a second challenge if the first one is successful. That is new. So I think sometimes we are a little bit more deliberate, especially when it comes to the difference in rules from the college to the pro level. But my big thing is just, I know there's chatter here and there's chatter there. None of that really matters as long as people are tuning in and watching, because they're seeing elite level basketball. Maybe they're getting introduced to some players that we are all very well aware of because they've been successful in the WNBA, but maybe some of these new viewers haven't been watching them. That's okay. Welcome. Keep watching. You're going to get treated to really great women's basketball. And then it's Ryan and my job to explain what's happening on the basketball court in whatever terms we feel are necessary. And then, but in particular, I think, really explaining when there's a difference in the rules from the college game to the pro game so that people understand what's going on.
All right, Daniel, thank you. And we'll turn, time for one more question. We'll turn to Nikias. Nikias, go ahead.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me. A quick one for you, Rebecca, if you don't mind. You alluded to Chicago scheming when talking about the Camila Cardoso fit. It does feel like on the W side, more teams are likely to blitz ball screens. Chicago more so at the level this year, but historically they've been a team that blitzes. Connecticut does it. A few other teams do it as well. Why do you think teams are more willing to be that aggressive in ball screens in the W?
Maybe it's just because I think a couple things. I think people are doing it more at the college level. So not only are the players involved in the blitz more accustomed to it, but obviously it's the backside where the rotation happens, where players have to be comfortable with that. Maybe it's because we have longer, better athletes than we've ever had before who are able to do that kind of coverage. But like what's one thing that's been interesting, I'm interested to see this weekend, how Indiana handles it, because obviously Caitlin in the first game against Connecticut, she did not handle it really well. Her teammates didn't either. It was kind of a new thing for them to get accustomed to in terms of where they should go to. I think that's an area where Caitlin has really grown. But yeah, I think players are doing it more at the college level, more comfortable coming into the league. And then I just think that the backside rotation with the level of athletes that we have now, it's become something that they are more capable of doing.
Thank you.
All right. Rebecca, Ryan, thank you so much for your time. We will look for you tomorrow afternoon. To our media folks, thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Keep in mind,
guys.
Indiana can still win the Commissioner's Cup.
There you go. Commissioner's Cup play starts tomorrow.
That's right. See you guys.